Welcome to Australian Kadampa Stories, where we get to hear about the spiritual lives of people practicing Kadampa Buddhism in this part of the world. I'm your host, Colleen Isaacs, and I'm so pleased to introduce our guest today, again, Tsalden. She is the resident teacher at our center on the Gold Coast. She's been practicing for 20 years. She's been a resident teacher for 15 years. So an enormous amount of experience that we can learn from, and I'm so looking forward to speaking to her today. Again, Tsalden, hello, welcome.
Hi, Colleen. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. Well, coming as in thanks for, pressing the link in the feed.
You're most welcome.
It's great to have you.
Thank you.
Now you're joining us from Gold Coast, so sunny Queensland, yes, where it's technically winter, but probably not really.
But not really.
Not really. Yep, beautiful day for you, I'm sure.
It is lovely today, particularly warm for this time of the year.
Now, are you a Queenslander? Are you from that part of the world, or has Dharma moved you there?
Yeah, nearby. I grew up in northern New South Wales, so it's only a couple of hours drive, but culturally it's quite different. And I know generally in Australia we don't tend to think that there's much difference in the culture, but there is. So yeah, it's quite different, but I really love it here. So I'm very happy to be back on the coast.
Wonderful. Now, if you don't mind, can you tell us, when did you first discover Kadampa Buddhism? Like, where were you in life? What was life like for you at the time? How did it all get started?
Well, I think what really started me searching for something like this was that I was living and working overseas. My mum's Scottish, so I always wanted to spend some time in the UK working and getting to know that side of the family. And I moved over there. I'd done some really cool things, like, worked on a couple of Edinburgh festivals and things that I'd always really wanted to do. And I had a fantastic life, and I had a lot of the things that I'd wanted and that I had believed that, would bring happiness. And I wasn't. So it just made me really think, well, what is going on? Like, why, if these things don't have the power to make you happy, then what does? So that kind of, my mind was kind of open and searching, and I I thought that maybe I just needed to change my career. And so I thought I'll go back to Australia and retrain in something closer to my heart. But I'd only just started back at school basically when I found a leaflet for the centre in Sydney. So my questions were being answered, and I had really strong, pull to find answers, to find meaning. And I think that kind of, opened my mind to being led to the centre in Sydney. Yeah. So I went to a class in Paddington, and that was it.
And that was it?
Yeah, basically.
Like it was that immediate for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I felt really strongly in my heart that I'd found what I was looking for, that there was all the answers to all the questions that I'd had were being given to me, without me being even asking them. Mm-hmm. So it was quite a profound experience for me. Yeah.
Do you remember what the class was about, or what was the first topic that you really remember?
Yeah. I'll tell you. It was patience, right? It was patience. Mm-hmm. And I saw it in the leaflet. It said, overcoming anger, learning how to practice patience. And I thought, I don't really need that one. I'll just wait till the next course. And then I rang the centre in Sydney, and I think I spoke to Dorning. This is Ken Dorning, just before he was ordained. And he said to me, just go to the class. Because, I said to him, I don't think I really need that one. He's like, just go to the class. And so I just went, and turns out I did need those teachings after all. I was like, oh, right, yes, okay, I understand now. So, yeah, and those teachings on patience have always been like my favourites, I think. You know, they're so powerful, they're so practical, they do solve our human problems, just like it says in the book.
What an amazing title, isn't it?
I know. I love reading it out to people because it's such a statement, isn't it? Like how to solve our human problems, and it's in this tiny little book.
Now, people write books about their problems,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
volumes, and then
yeah,
there's this tiny little book.
yeah. And all the answers are in here. Yeah, it's amazing. Beautiful.
So you were hooked from the beginning.
Yes, yes. And I
Yeah.
think also I just saw a photo of Geshe on the table, you know, at the class, and I just immediately loved him and felt like there was a strong connection there. And so there was nothing else for me to do, really. I was home, you know.
So how long did it take you to really change your life and, like align it with Dharma?
Well, I mean, that's still a work in progress, isn't it?
I love the
But,
honesty. Thank you.
yes, I've sorted it all out, Colleen. Don't worry. Um,
You got the gear. Yeah.
yeah, I've got the outfit or something, isn't it? Yeah, no, I really wanted to, I just wanted to practice it straight away. And so I started and I tried, and I think that's probably why I fell in love with those patience teachings as well, because I really tried to apply them, and I really saw I saw the problems that were coming from non-acceptance, and I saw the relief and the peace that comes from trying to practice acceptance. And yeah, like from a practical point of view, I knew quite early on that I'd found where I wanted to be heading, you know, from that point. And so my studies and everything at at uni, I just I think I stayed till the end of the semester, and I thought I don't really need this anymore. Thanks. And so yeah, I didn't finish that second degree, but I didn't feel I felt like I'd found what I was looking for at the centre, and so I think I moved in. Well, we had, I don't know if you remember, we had tantric empowerments, highest yoga tantra empowerments in Sydney in 2004. And that was the year that I'd started going to classes. So because I had a history in, event coordination and production coordination and like for performing arts, usually, mostly, but the transferable skills, they were trying to organise this festival. And so I thought, I've got to help these people because like half of the things that were needed they hadn't even thought of. Don't tell anyone. And so I helped to organise that festival, that Australian festival with the HYT empowerments, and that was 6 months after my first class. So
Oh, wow. Wow.
everything felt a little bit fast tracked, but I didn't realise that at the time. You know, it's only kind of looking back, you think, wow, that all happened quite quickly. But I think when you just know, you know, you just want to go for it.
Yeah. So was there an aspect of, any of the teachings that you were a little bit unsure or felt a bit challenged by? I mean, HYT 6 months in is,
Yeah, I
might seem
can't
different.
remember ever. I think I've got one memory of going to my first puja and thinking, oh my God, what is this? And just that it was just so not like anything, you know, I'd ever been to before, because I wasn't raised in a particularly religious way. And so we were, you know, singing prayers. I think it was just me and Ken Shechog at the time. who was not getting Chechog at the time.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I feel like I had a strong connection with the people at the centre, and that was a big part of drawing me in. And so it was just her and I doing this little puja, and because I liked her and I trusted her, I was like, okay, this is okay, but it feels really weird. But that was, I think, none of the teachings I remember actually jarring with me particularly. Yeah, no. I mean, some you don't understand, of course, at
Sure.
first, but there was I don't remember any kind of, strong rejection in the mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you found your path and
Yeah,
you're happy to be on it, which is
yeah,
wonderful. As opposed to
yeah.
some of us who are like, this is great, but I'm so unsure. Or this is great, but it's a
Yeah,
religion.
I know. And that's bad, isn't it? We've
But it's
been just,
wonderful, so I don't know what to do.
yeah, you know, I know. Yeah, I do feel really quite fortunate, and because you've got nothing to compare it to at the time, and so it's only down the track when you hear that people have very different experiences or approaches, and it's just imprints at the end of the day, isn't it? But yeah, I do feel very fortunate that as soon as I found it, I knew I just wanted to go.
That's great. Wasting no time. That's really inspiring.
Yeah. Thanks.
And do you mind telling me about the decision to get ordained? How did that happen? And yeah, what was that experience like?
Well, it felt very natural to me. That wish developed very quickly and easily in my heart. Again, I think it had a lot to do with the fact that the other students at the centre, there was already some ordained people, and then there were others getting ordained, and that just made it all very natural. But for me, yeah, it was never really a question. I think I wanted, I think I wanted to do it straight away, but you don't want to freak out your mum and dad. So I waited a couple of years, and then I asked if I could be ordained, and my teacher said yes, and Venerable Geshe said yes. So I was very happy to go down that path. They're such beautiful vows, they're not particularly hard to keep, So yeah, and the ordination was beautiful. I got ordained at the same time as Patchog, and it was just really lovely, really magical, really blessed. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. So it was a summer festival, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Summer Festival 2006 with Venerable Geshe. So
Wow.
that's very special. That's the closest I've been to him because you're like pretty close. And it was lovely. It was beautiful. I made myself like look up when I, because it's like when someone's offering a cat tag. I think I can tell you this bit without blowing the secrets. There's a cat tag offering at one point. It's like when you offer the teacher the cat tag at an empowerment, and so you're very close. And I told myself, I made sure just look up, even if it's just a glance, because you're never going to be face to face with your guru in that way again. So, yeah, I've still got the memory of that flash of looking up into Geshe-la's eyes. So yeah, it was really
That's
special.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when did you start teaching? I know you've been a teacher for a long time, or a resident teacher for a long
Yeah.
time, but how did your teaching journey start?
Well, I started teaching at branches. I think I can't even remember when it was, to be honest. Probably about a year after I started FP, I think, or TTP. I think we had TTP at that point. And so, yeah, I was teaching at one point. I was teaching 4 branches a week. So we had
That's a
so many
lot.
branches at one point in that centre. Beautiful, lots of energy at that time. And then I started. There was some students on the Gold Coast from the centre in Perth, and they emailed Genrabton, I think, and requested some teachings. And I think they had a lay teacher giving some weekly classes, and then it stopped for some reason. And so they asked if someone could come and teach. And then I ended up being the one who was available to go up. And so I would fly up every week from Sydney to the Gold Coast to do the weekly class in Tsalden. And that was lots of fun and very adventurous. One time I landed at 7:28
For
and
7:30 class?
and so I charged out of that airport, and basically the venue was across the road from the airport.
Oh,
So I was just and made it. I think I was only 5 minutes late
oh
because I had no
wow.
luggage or anything, because I was a FIFO worker, fly in, fly out. And I would stay the night and then go back the next day, and I would stay with Robert and Pauline, who were the couple who originally requested the teachings there. And then I think it was about 6 months, maybe 7 or 8 months after that they decided they wanted a centre, and so we put in the request, and then I was asked to be the resident teacher. So I think that was 2008. And so yeah, I've been an RT since then, and it's lovely. It's a great job. It's got challenges as well, but it's such a meaningful and enjoyable job.
Yeah, what an incredible opportunity, but also great responsibility, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a real privilege, to be able to sit. Basically, you're sitting in Venerable Geshe-la's chair, and this is the same for whether it's a resident teacher or a branch teacher. That chair at the front is Venerable Geshe-la's chair, and he's allowing us to sit on it and to give his Dharma. I think that's really important for teachers to remember, because you can get all caught up in yourself and I've got to give this teaching and so forth. But it's not our teaching. We're just saying Geshe-la's teachings, and we're just acting as, like Genla Dekyong says, that conduit, so that people can hear the teachings and receive some blessings through our faith, for our faith in our guru, our spiritual guide. So there's no, we take it seriously, we hold that responsibility, but it's not us, it's not us giving that teaching. It's all from our side. We need love for the students and faith in our spiritual guide, and read the books. Basically, that is our job, and it is such a privilege, where we're like performing this function of the spiritual guide without being the actual spiritual guide, and it's through his power and blessings and our faith that is able to be transmitted to others, and that they can receive benefit. So there's not this, especially when I think you're a new teacher, you feel a lot of pressure. And, it's good in a way to feel responsible. We do have a role in what's happening, but we don't need to feel that pressure that comes from thinking, I've got to give this teaching, and I've got to get it right, and I've got to tell them everything. That's a common problem for new teachers. But we're just there with our good heart. We want to help others. We know that Dharma is the only real method to solve human problems. and we have faith in our extraordinary spiritual guide and his beautiful books that he's given us. And we just tell them about what we love with that intention to benefit them, and help them solve their problems.
Magic. Isn't it, Tsalden? Thank you for that. Thank you for that teaching on how to be a teacher. That was wonderful. I didn't know that I was going to get that. Thank you.
Sorry.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Oh.
Very helpful as I prepare to do a day course, which I don't mind admitting a little
Lovely.
bit. Just the usual pre-preparation lather that some of us get ourselves caught up in.
Yeah, and it is just overthinking, really, isn't it? Like we're and getting in the way. I know again, Dekyong said once. She said, "How should we prepare?" She said, "We lie on our bed and we think, what do they need to hear?" How what we think about what the people who are coming, what they might be experiencing in their life, the particular difficulties of the times and things like that. And we just, with our good heart, then we just prepare something that we hope will help them, without this pressure thing, I have to help these people because that's Geshe-la's going to help those people, but through our good heart, he can.
Yeah, that's wonderful. How long did it take you as a teacher to really, feel confident in that process and able to just, relax and not relax because it is an important job, but to just allow that transmission, to occur in a light.
Again, I think I'm very fortunate in that it always felt quite easy. Maybe that's just my arrogance.
I'm sure it's not.
I'm like, yeah, I got this, don't worry. No, but I think because I had some experience of, public speaking, and so that kind of aspect of it, I wasn't ever particularly daunted by, and that's a big part of it, isn't it? Like having to speak in front of others. I'd always felt very comfortable doing that. And then, the rest is just getting to know Dharma, isn't it? And I think it's one of the most beautiful things about being a resident teacher for a long time is that you start to know the books really well. And you start to, the ones that you teach from a lot. So for me, I teach general program more than anything else. Some other teachers in different centres, they teach more in-depth things often, and then they're like newer teachers or their branch teachers will teach GP. But I mainly have taught GP classes in my time. And so you get to know books like How to Solve Human Problems and How to Transform Your Life and the New 8 Steps to Happiness and modern Buddhism, and the joy of just having those things never too far from your mind. You can think, oh, there's that bit on such and such and it's around this part. You start to know where in the books those parts are. And that's just familiarity, which is so wonderful. And it's such a privilege of doing the job, is that you just accidentally, get those texts into your heart. And it's so beautiful, I can't remember what your question was.
That was wonderful. Thank you. What would you say to someone who is considering coming along to class? Maybe like you, they picked up a leaflet, or a friend has been, chatting to them saying, hey, do you want to come along? But, they're not sure yet. Yeah. What would you say to someone?
Well, I just love what Ken Dorning said to me. He just said, just come. Just go. I mean, that's the thing. What have you got to lose? Just come along. If you don't like it, it's okay. But you probably love it. you know. So I love in our tradition, and it's something that is generally within Buddhism, is that there's no pressure. Venerable Geshe always said to us, again, the Khenrab always says to us, we have choice. We have choice. Like no one is going to push us into anything. We need to find our own pace with our practice. So we don't need to be like the person next to us. We don't need to be doing those unhelpful comparisons. The spiritual path is so personal. Mm-hmm. We have to find our own way and our own pace to walk along that. We follow closely. We follow Venerable Geshe because that's the way to get to the destination that we wish for, that happiness and freedom. We need to follow him closely, but it's got to be at our own pace, Mm-hmm. And so we can't be practicing in exactly the same way as someone, or because of someone else, or for someone else. It's such a personal thing, our spiritual path. And each one of us has to find our own pace, There are meditations that motivate us to, keep moving. And that's important. We need those motivations. But I think for me, one of the great realizations, for want of a better word, because I'm not sure that that's technically what it would be called, but just realizing that it's my path. It really is my responsibility, and how far I want to get along that path in this life is up to me. No one else can do it for me. I need to do this, and for my own sake, and also ultimately for everybody else, because we're Mahayanas and we're trying to get those altruistic motivations, But I think firstly we need to realise why we ourselves are on that path. It sounds obvious in a way, but especially because we are Mahayanas, we're trying to get those big minds, those bodhicitta minds. We can forget that actually this is what I need to do for myself as well. And it's got to be grounded in that renunciation, if you like, to be authentic and to be travelling on the path because we want to.
Thank you to Tsalden for that conversation. She's so thoughtful, sincere, dedicated. We had some technical issues, so I wasn't able to say goodbye while we were recording, but thank you again, Tsalden. Now, she is running a workshop up at the center on the Gold Coast in Robina. It's the 1st of September, and it is called 3 Habits of Happy People, so do check it out if you're in the area. Thanks again, Tsalden, and see you all soon.